First Contact Surprise. The Galactic Coalition survey vessel Eternal Vigil dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, its crystalline sensors gleaming in the starlight. Senior observer Vixtal chittered nervously as her mandibles processed the unexpected data streaming across her neural interface. This was supposed to be a routine check on the supposedly primitive human civilization, their 100th such survey since discovering Earth 2 centuries ago. Anomalous energy signature detected, observing Prime, her second-in-command reported, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the holographic displays surrounding their observation post. Origin point: Earth's lunar orbit. Impossible, Vixtal responded, her compound eyes rapidly processing the sensor data. Human technology shouldn't be capable of producing energy readings at that magnitude. Verify and recheck. But before her crew could comply, space itself seemed to ripple. A massive vessel materialized from what appeared to be a fold in reality, a technological feat that should have been far beyond human capabilities. The ship was enormous, easily dwarfing their survey vessel. Its hull bore markings unlike anything in Coalition records, combining smooth organic curves with angular geometric patterns that pulsed with internal energy. By the first light, Vixtal whispered, her species equivalent of a prayer. What have they built? The vessel's design defied conventional Coalition engineering principles. Where Coalition ships were crystalline and geometric, this human vessel appeared almost alive, its surface shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Energy readings suggested power generation capabilities that shouldn't have been possible with known human technology. "Ma'am," her sensor officer called out, voice trembling. "We're being scanned. They're sensors. They're penetrating our stealth fields as if they weren't even there." Before Vixtal could respond, a communication request registered across all their systems simultaneously, another impossible feat given their supposedly superior encryption. A human voice, surprisingly calm and authoritative, filled their command center. "Galactic Coalition vessel, this is the Earth Defense Force carrier Prometheus Rising. You've entered restricted space without authorization. Please state your purpose." Vixtal felt her crystalline form vibrate with anxiety. This wasn't how first contact with human military forces was supposed to go. They were supposed to be primitive, barely able to reach their own moon. Yet here they were, being challenged by a vessel that shouldn't exist. "This is Senior Observer Vixtal of the Coalition Survey Court," she responded, maintaining diplomatic protocol. "We are conducting a routine survey as per established monitoring protocols." A pause followed, during which Vixtal's crew maintained absolute silence. The human vessel loomed in their view screen, its mere presence challenging everything they thought they knew about humanity's technological capabilities. "Observer Vixtal," the human voice returned, now tinged with what might have been amusement. "Your established protocols were tolerated when we were finding our feet in space. However, circumstances have changed. Earth is no longer accepting unannounced surveillance of our territory." Vixtal's second-in-command transmitted a private message through their neural network. "They can't be serious. They're centuries behind us technologically. Or were they?" The Prometheus Rising shifted position, executing a maneuver that their sensors barely registered before it was complete. The movement demonstrated propulsion technology far beyond what humans should possess. "We will provide you with updated diplomatic channels for future contact," the human continued. "For now, please accept this data package and withdraw beyond the Kuiper Belt. This space is now under Earth jurisdiction." Data flooded their systems, not forced through their firewalls, but somehow already present, as if it had always been there. The implications were staggering. Either humans had developed impossible technological capabilities, or they had discovered something that had given them access to advanced technology. As the Eternal Vigil prepared to withdraw, Vixtal couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change dramatically. Humanity had been watching their watchers all along, and now they were ready to step onto the galactic stage on their own terms. "Send an emergency update to Coalition Command," she ordered as they retreated. "Priority Ultra. The humans. They're not what we thought they were." They never were. As they accelerated away from Earth, the Prometheus rising vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving behind only questions and the dawning realization that the galaxy's power structure was about to be irrevocably altered. Coalition Command would need to be informed immediately. Humanity hadn't just caught up to galactic civilization. They might have surpassed it. And no one, not even the eldest races of the Coalition, knew how they had done it. Legacy of the Deep. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the Mariana Research Station, 13 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface. The reinforced transparent aluminum windows looked out into the absolute darkness of the Hadal Zone, occasionally illuminated by the bioluminescent creatures that called these depths home. But she wasn't here to study the local wildlife. Mapping scan complete, Dr. reported Lieutenant James Rodriguez from his station. The structure extends another 2 kilometers into the sediment. It's bigger than we initially thought. The holographic display sprang to life in the center of the command center, showing a massive geometric structure buried beneath the ocean floor. Its angular lines and perfect symmetry made it clear this was no natural formation. What they'd discovered here 3 years ago had changed everything. And the galaxy still didn't know. Temperature readings are still stable. Anna Patel, their chief engineer, called out. The structure's power source remains active. If our translations are correct, it's been running continuously for at least 50,000 years. Sarah remembered the day they'd first detected the anomaly. What had started as a routine deep-sea geological survey had turned into the most important discovery in human history. The structure, they called it the Nexus, was a repository of advanced technology left behind by a civilization that had vanished long before humans first walked upright. New data coming in from Chamber 7, Rodriguez announced. The quantum processors are finally making sense of the latest database segment. You'll want to see this, Doctor. Sarah moved to his station, her eyes widening as she read the data. This confirms our theory. The Nexus isn't just a library. It's a testing ground. Those who built it wanted to find worthy successors. And they chose us. Anna asked, voicing the question that had puzzled them all since they'd first managed to access the Nexus's systems. Not exactly, Sarah replied, studying the complex strings of alien code. They created a challenge. Only species with the right combination of attributes would be able to not just find the Nexus, but understand and utilize its knowledge. The depth, the pressure, the complex security systems, they're all part of the test. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't been chosen. They had proven themselves worthy through their own determination and ingenuity. The Prometheus rising, now in lunar orbit, was just the first implementation of what they'd learned. Message from Surface Command. Lieutenant Rodriguez interrupted. The Coalition survey ship has left the system. But there's more. Long-range sensors are detecting increased activity at known Coalition waypoints. They're mobilizing. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. They were bound to notice eventually. The question was always whether we'd be ready when they did. She turned to face her team. Initiate Protocol Omega. It's time to wake up the rest of the Nexus. Deep beneath them, ancient machinery hummed to life. The structure's outer layers began to shift, reconfiguring themselves according to patterns programmed eons ago. What the Coalition had seen was just the beginning. The Nexus contained knowledge that would revolutionize their understanding of physics, space, and reality itself. Doctor, Anna called out, her voice tense. The quantum core is responding to the activation sequence. Energy readings are, well, they're beyond anything we've seen before. The builders left us more than just technology. They left us a power source that could reshape the galaxy. Sarah watched as new data stringed across her displays. The Nexus's builders had been thorough. They hadn't just left advanced technology. They'd created a comprehensive program to guide a worthy civilization toward its full potential. Humanity had passed their first test by finding and accessing the Nexus. Now came the real challenge. proving they could handle its power responsibly. "Send word to the Prometheus," she ordered. "Tell them to prepare for Phase 2. The Coalition needs to understand that we're not just another primitive species they can monitor and control. We're the inheritors of something far greater than they could imagine." As if in response to her words, the Nexus pulsed with energy. In orbit, the Prometheus rising systems began to evolve, incorporating new patterns and capabilities that had laid dormant in its design. Across Earth, similar facilities hidden in other deep ocean trenches stirred to life, each containing different pieces of the legacy left for humanity to find. "Multiple contacts at the system's edge," Rodriguez reported. "Coalition signatures. Looks like they're sending more than just survey ships this time." Sarah smiled. The builders of the Nexus had predicted this too. Humanity's emergence as a galactic power would not go unchallenged. But that was part of the test, not just discovering the technology, but proving they had the wisdom to use it properly. "Let them come," she said quietly. "It's time the galaxy understood that humanity isn't just reaching for the stars anymore. We're ready to take our place among them, whether they're ready for us or not." Deep in the darkness of the ocean, the Nexus continued its ancient work, preparing humanity for what was to come. The builders had waited millennia for a species that could pass their tests. Now, finally, their patience had been rewarded. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, armed with knowledge that would change the course of galactic history forever. Coalition's Gambit. The Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Coalition hummed with tension as High Counselor Zexrid watched the holographic replay for the 12th time. The Prometheus Rising materialized, performed its impossible maneuver, and vanished again. Each viewing only deepened the sense of unease among the gathered representatives. "This cannot stand," growled Ambassador Thor of the Militant Worlds, his scaled hide reflecting the chamber's crystalline lights. A species barely out of their gravity well, suddenly wielding technology that rivals our most advanced achievements. They must be contained. Zexrid raised a limb for silence, her iridescent exoskeleton shifting colors to indicate deep thought. Contained. They penetrated our best stealth systems as if they were transparent. They transmitted data through our most sophisticated firewalls. "Tell me, Ambassador, how exactly do you propose to contain such power?" The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, each representative trying to assert their solution. Some called for immediate military action, others for diplomatic isolation. A few suggested more subtle approaches. "If I may, High Counselor," a quiet voice cut through the chaos. All eyes turned to Nexara, the Coalition's chief xenorchaeologist. Her ethereal form seemed to shimmer as she approached the central platform. "I believe we're asking the wrong questions." Nexara gestured, and new holographic images appeared, ancient ruins from across the galaxy, each bearing striking similarities to the technology displayed by the human vessel. "We found fragments of this technology before, scattered across thousands of worlds. But never functional, never complete. Somehow, humanity has done what we could not. They found an intact source of the precursor civilization's legacy." The chamber fell silent. The precursors were a mystery that had haunted the Coalition for millennia. Their artifacts suggested technological capabilities far beyond anything the modern galaxy had achieved, but all attempts to understand or replicate their work had failed. "Impossible," Thor declared, but with less certainty now. "We've searched their system countless times." "There was nothing." "Nothing we could detect," Nexara corrected. "Nothing we thought to look for." "But consider, where did we search? Space, the surface. What if the humans found something in a place we never thought to look?" Zexrid's colors shifted to deep purple, a sign of decisive action. "Initiate Protocol Omega-7, she commanded. "Full diplomatic engagement with Earth. Send our best negotiators, scientists, and observers." Everyone understood what observers meant. The Coalition's most skilled information gatherers would be deployed, seeking any weakness, any advantage they could find. On Earth, these machinations did not go unnoticed. Within the Mariana Research Station, Dr. Chen and her team watched as coalition ships began arriving at the edge of the solar system. Each vessel was larger and more impressive than the last, a calculated display of power. They're following the exact pattern the Nexus predicted, Anna noted, monitoring the incoming ships. Every response, every diplomatic overture, it's all been anticipated. Sarah nodded, watching the quantum displays as they processed more of the Nexus's vast database. The precursors understood species psychology better than we ever imagined. They knew exactly how an established power structure would react to a sudden shift in the balance. First contact request from the Coalition flagship, Rodriguez reported. They're sending their highest-ranking diplomatic team, plus about a dozen ships trying very hard to look like routine patrol vessels. Accept the contact, Sarah ordered. But first, activate the Prometheus's secondary systems. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. In orbit, the Prometheus rising began to change. Its hull shifted and flowed like liquid metal, revealing layers of technology that had remained hidden until now. Energy readings spiked across Coalition sensors, causing their instruments to flash warnings about power levels that shouldn't have been possible. The Coalition diplomatic vessel, approaching with carefully measured speed, suddenly found itself surrounded by distortions in space-time. Nothing threatening, but a clear demonstration that the humans could control the very fabric of reality in ways the Coalition had never mastered. In the Grand Assembly Chamber, Zexrid received the sensor data with growing concern. They're not just using precursor technology, she realized. They're improving upon it, understanding it in ways we never could. Nexared nodded solemnly. The question isn't how to contain them anymore. The question is, what did the precursors see in humanity that they didn't see in us? What makes them worthy of this legacy when all our attempts to claim it failed? As the Coalition's diplomatic mission approached Earth, Sarah Chen smiled at her team. The Nexus had prepared humanity for this moment for years, feeding them knowledge at a pace they could handle, teaching them not just the how of advanced technology, but the why. Send a message to the Coalition diplomats, she instructed. Tell them we're ready to talk. But first, let them know that we understand exactly what their observers are trying to do. And remind them, the precursors left their legacy to those who were ready for it, not those who tried to take it by force. The game was set. The Coalition would probe and test, scheme and maneuver, never realizing that every move they made had been anticipated millennia ago by beings who understood the true meaning of advancement. Humanity hadn't just inherited technology. They'd inherited wisdom. And that, more than any weapon or shield, was what truly terrified the Coalition. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? It will focus on the direct confrontation between human wisdom and Coalition power, revealing more about why humanity was chosen as the inheritors of the precursor legacy. Breaking point. The Coalition diplomatic vessel Eternal Discourse hung in high Earth orbit, its crystalline structure refracting sunlight in complex patterns. Inside, First Speaker Naz Toll struggled to maintain her species' characteristic calm as she faced the human delegation across a table that seamlessly blended Coalition and Earth design principles. You must understand our concern, she said, her translator converting her harmonic speech into clear English. Such power, acquired so suddenly. The galaxy needs assurance it will be used responsibly. Admiral Helena Rodriguez, commander of the Prometheus Rising, allowed herself a small smile. The same assurance you've provided with your stealth ships currently trying to scan our deep ocean facilities. The first speaker's translucent skin flushed slightly, the equivalent of a human blush. On cue, holographic displays materialized around the conference room, showing real-time feeds of Coalition infiltration attempts across Earth's oceans. We've been tracking them since they entered the atmosphere, Dr. Chen added from her seat beside the Admiral. Just as we've been aware of every probe, every spy, and every attempted data breach since we revealed ourselves. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Nexus hummed with increasing energy. Its quantum cores had detected the Coalition's latest attempts to penetrate its defenses and were responding accordingly. Not with violence, the precursors had engineered something far more elegant. Unusual energy signature detected. A Coalition tech announced through the ship's comms. It's coming from everywhere. The Nexus had activated its final protocol. Across Earth's oceans, precise gravitational waves began to ripple outward, carrying with them packets of information encoded in the fabric of spacetime itself. The Coalition's most sophisticated sensors could detect these waves but couldn't decode them. The message they carried was meant for other receivers. Suddenly, every piece of Coalition technology, from their mighty warships to their smallest probes, began receiving transmissions, not attacks or invasive code, but something far more profound: understanding. What is this? Naztul whispered as her neural interface filled with information she could barely comprehend. The data wasn't forcing its way in. It was teaching, explaining, revealing. The precursors left more than just technology, Sarah explained, her voice gentle but firm. They left a message for whoever would eventually find their legacy. Would you like to know what it says? On the Coalition ships, crews watched in amazement as their own technology began to respond to the waves of information, not by shutting down or malfunctioning, but by working better, more efficiently, as if it had always been capable of more, but had never been properly understood. The message is simple, Admiral Rodriguez continued. Knowledge without wisdom is meaningless. Power without understanding is dangerous. The precursors didn't choose humanity because we were special. They chose us because we were willing to learn before we tried to control. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, the Nexus projected a massive hologram visible to all the Coalition vessels, a complete technical breakdown of their own most advanced systems, along with annotations showing dozens of potential improvements they had never considered. Your civilizations have been trying to recreate precursor technology for millennia, Sarah said, but you always focused on the what and how, never the why. You saw their artifacts as weapons to be controlled, power to be harnessed. We saw them as lessons to be learned. The Coalition's infiltration ships, hidden in Earth's oceans, found their cloaking systems suddenly operating at peak efficiency, better than they ever had before. Not because they had been attacked or hijacked, but because the Nexus was teaching their technology how to work as it should. This is what the precursors wanted to pass on, Sarah continued. Not just advanced technology, but a fundamental understanding of why it works, how it can be improved, and most importantly, when it should or shouldn't be used. Naztul sat in stunned silence as she processed the implications. The humans hadn't just found advanced technology. They had grasped fundamental truths about the universe that the Coalition, for all its age and power, had missed. The Prometheus isn't a weapon, Admiral Rodriguez explained. It's a proof of concept, a demonstration that humanity understands enough to be trusted with the full legacy. And now we're offering to share that understanding, not the technology itself, but the wisdom behind it. The quantum cores of the Nexus pulsed one final time, sending out a wave that caused every piece of technology in Earth orbit to briefly operate at its theoretical peak potential, not as a threat, but as a promise of what could be achieved through genuine understanding. So, Sarah concluded, the question isn't whether humanity can be trusted with this power. The question is, can the Coalition be trusted to learn from its mistakes? Are you ready to understand rather than control? To learn rather than dominate? In orbit above Earth, Coalition ships hung motionless as their crews grappled with what they had just experienced. They had come expecting to find a threat to contain. Instead, they had found a mirror reflecting their own limitations and a path to moving beyond them. Would you like me to continue with the final part? It will bring resolution to the conflict and show how this revelation changes the galaxy's future. New understanding. 6 months after the confrontation in Earth orbit, the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Coalition had been transformed. Where once crystalline spires had dominated the architecture, Now smooth curves of living metal blended seamlessly with original structures, a physical representation of the change sweeping through galactic civilization. High Counselor Zexrid stood before the assembled representatives, her exoskeleton now shimmering with patterns that would have been impossible before the integration of precursor understanding into coalition technology. But the most significant changes weren't physical, they were philosophical. The first graduating class of the Joint Understanding Initiative has completed their training, she announced, gesturing to a group of coalition scientists working alongside human instructors. For the first time in our history, we're not just using advanced technology, we're truly understanding it. The chamber's holographic displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. Coalition ships, now enhanced with properly understood precursor principles, flying alongside human vessels. Research stations where multiple species work together to explore the depths of physics and reality. But most importantly, they showed new sites being discovered, more precursor repositories, hidden in places no one had thought to look before. They're everywhere, Dr. Sarah Chin explained, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the coalition. Deep oceans, gas giant cores, dimensional pockets, the precursors left their legacy scattered across the galaxy. We were just the first to understand where to look and how to learn rather than exploit. The Prometheus Rising, now joined by a fleet of similar vessels, crewed by both humans and coalition species, patrolled the borders of known space. But they weren't looking for threats. They were searching for understanding, for more pieces of the puzzle the precursors had left behind. The precursors weren't just advanced technologically, Sarah continued, activating a new holographic display. They had achieved something far more significant, a perfect balance between progress and wisdom. They didn't vanish or go extinct, as we originally thought. They evolved beyond the need for physical form, but not before ensuring their knowledge would pass to those ready to understand it. In the depths of Earth's oceans, the Nexus continued its work, but now it was joined by similar facilities discovered on other worlds. Each contained different pieces of the precursor's legacy, each waiting for the right combination of curiosity and wisdom to unlock its secrets. Admiral Rodriguez, speaking from the Prometheus's command deck, addressed the assembly. We've discovered that the precursor's technology isn't just about manipulating energy or matter. It's about understanding the fundamental connections between consciousness, reality, and possibility. Every discovery leads to new questions, new opportunities for growth. The Coalition's former military vessels, once poised to contain humanity, had been repurposed. Their weapons systems, understood properly for the first time, now served as tools for exploration and discovery. The very concept of military power had been transformed by the revelation that true strength lay in understanding, not dominance. But the greatest discovery, Zexrid concluded, wasn't in the technology at all. It was in learning why the precursors chose to leave their legacy this way. They didn't want successors who would simply inherit their power. They wanted cultures that would understand the responsibility that comes with it. As if in response to her words, the Nexus and its sister facilities across the galaxy activated simultaneously. New data streamed into the combined coalition human network, not weapons or power sources, but deeper understanding of reality itself. The precursors had left breadcrumbs leading to something far greater than mere technological supremacy. This is just the beginning, Sarah said, her eyes bright with the promise of discovery. The precursors left us a roadmap not just to their level of advancement, but beyond it. They wanted us to surpass them, to take their understanding and build upon it. But first, we had to prove we were ready. The assembly chamber filled with a soft light as the latest transmission from the combined precursor networks coalesced into a new form, a message written in the quantum fabric of reality itself. It wasn't just meant for humans or the coalition, but for all species ready to take the next step in cosmic evolution. We are ready now, Admiral Rodriguez declared. Not because we have power, but because we finally understand why it was given to us. The galaxy isn't a place to be conquered or controlled. It's a mystery to be understood, a puzzle the precursors left for us to solve together. As the message decoded itself, revealing new layers of understanding about the nature of existence, the assembled representatives of humanity and the coalition watched in shared wonder. They had moved beyond their old rivalries and fears, united in the pursuit of something greater than power, the pursuit of understanding. The Prometheus Rising sailed through the stars, no longer a symbol of human advancement, but a testament to what could be achieved when wisdom and technology evolved together. The galaxy had entered a new age, not one of conflict or domination, but of discovery and growth. The precursors' true legacy wasn't the technology they left behind, but the lesson that had come with it. True power lies not in what you can do, but in understanding why you should do it. This wasn't an ending, but a beginning. Humanity and the Coalition had taken their first steps on a path that would lead them to heights the precursors themselves had only dreamed of. The stars beckoned, filled with new mysteries to understand, new truths to discover, and new ways to grow together.